welcome back. It's week number 4, and it's hard to believe that a month has gone by already. Time is surely gone by super fast, and I think, as far as contest prep, and why it feels fast is simply because I'm not, mentally so focused on it. I'm staying busy with life. But let's get into progress this past week and the week prior. Basically I was looking at, right around a quarter pound of weight loss heading into, last week's refeeds. So after the refeeds, it was maybe zero point 0.1 average on the loss. And, I decided that, it's let's just see if momentum will pick up or if it will continue on. And I'm really glad that, I didn't make any change to my protocols. Like, I didn't let, the insecurity or the fear of not making enough progress get the best of my decision making. So I stayed patient, and basically I stayed consistent with my protocol. And, this past week, I saw the momentum pick up. So, I'm right now I'm averaging this week about a pound of loss, which is, really good. And so the scale's been very kind to me this week. But more importantly, the visual changes is backing up what the scale is saying, and that's far more important than what the scale is going to say, because you're going to see day-to-day fluctuations. With refeeds, maybe you're not going, your bowel movements not going to the bathroom as frequently. Sodium levels, are kind of hit or miss. So so basically, I'm just really glad that I stayed patient. And it's pretty common, I would say, with a lot of people who contest prep or who are running cuts. They get very eager for progress, and just a little bit of let's say a little bit of a plateau or a slowdown, their first instinct is to make a cut. So again, if I was a little insecure or let the fear get to me and I did make a change, it would have been an unnecessary food cut or an unnecessary increase in cardio. So really glad that I stayed patient. And what I've learned through the years and through previous contest preps, that overly aggressive, overly assertive preps or cuts definitely don't yield that great of an end result. So again, patience is paying off. And so it was just a very good week when it came to my progress in regards to the fat loss. So I'm really happy with how I'm looking. I'm really happy with how things are materializing. The pace is conservative. My energy levels are really good, and performance in the weight room is good. Recovery is good. So that kind of leads me to the training. And this is the 4th week now of doing these vlogs, and you guys are probably seeing the same boring training clips now. It's becoming repetitive, and some of you who are probably following regular are like, man, this is boring. This guy just does just a few movements and that's it. And the thing, I like boring, because boring for me means consistent. These training clips you're seeing it's consistent. And because I'm consistent in the weight room, it's really kind of easy to assess how my progress is going. And basically, I'm seeing slow but steady progress. I'm going to show you guys some numbers, from last week's training to this week's training. You can see, I'm either, adding just a little bit of weight on some of my movements, or I'm picking up a rep or two. I keep it in mind that, my priority is making sure that, my form stays intact. And I think because I'm being conservative in the weight room and not really rushing it, not only am I picking up, just little bits of volume each week, but the quality is staying very high. So in a sense, I'm not getting ahead of myself, never trying to let that load get ahead of my form. And that just ensures that I'm going to, I should say, the risk for injury is definitely lower than if I was getting ahead of myself. So and I know some people probably looking at my my training going, okay, this guy's been running a 3-day split, hitting each body part once per week. That kind of goes against the grain of, what's out there, as far as, the research and the science and all that. Hitting each body part, a couple times per week is definitely a little more optimal than, let's say, one times per week. But, taking context into consideration, my last contest prep last year, I ran a lot more volume than I'm running now. I was hitting body parts twice per week. I was venturing in 4 or 5 set territory on some of my movements. During that run, I couldn't really, get a full handle as to why, I was feeling beat up a lot. I just kind of blamed it on the contest prep. I blamed it on my age a lot. And I think, sometimes when you're in the middle of something, it's hard to discern, what's really going on until you actually remove yourself from it. And then you kind of look back in hindsight and you're like, that's why. So that's kind of where I'm at now, a month into this prep, with my frequency to 1 times per week, training 3 days per week, having 4 non-training days, and really kind of, capping my volume. Like each exercise, I'm trying not to go over 3 sets per movement. The intensity level, I'm basically trying to keep my RPEs at 8.5, maybe 9 at the most, but no failure. So a lot of, 8.5, 9, and even RPE 8. So anywhere in the neighborhood of 1 to 3 reps, I'm definitely keeping it in the tank. So, in a nutshell, I'm doing just enough to maintain my muscle mass. And I think, what I'm kind of realizing, or probably what I've already known, but I got lost a little bit with my last prep, was that, in order to create more muscle, to create tissue, there's going to have to be some overreaching. And that basically requires a lot more energy. And if you don't have enough energy to supply that demand, then basically there's going to be, it's going to be a real struggle. And so that's kind of what happened last year with me, was that, it was just, basically I was just trying to do too much in a deficit, and I think, the recovery just wasn't there. So, I can't blame, I'm getting older, but I can't just blame my age, because, the last 4 weeks, I've seen my health, steadily improve. Like all these little aches and pains that I was dealing with are now all of a sudden starting to improve. So that rest and recovery, I don't, I think, when it comes to, performance, I think it's pretty huge, and I think it has to be looked at just as much, as the actual training we're doing. So for me personally, what I've realized is that, retaining muscle doesn't require probably as much effort, in a nutshell. So I'm not trained, hey, you need to train like a pussy or a pansy when you're in contest prep, but I think, you don't have to basically freaking kill yourself in order to maintain muscle mass. You just have to do enough. So it's basically supply and demand. It's basically what it is. It's like, if you do, whatever work you're doing, you better make sure that it's well fueled. You better make sure there's enough food to fuel it and enough food to recover from it. And I think I've, finally kind of hit a sweet spot with that. And, I mean, obviously look at, the visuals. You look at the physique, there's no flatness, no muscle loss whatsoever in this first month. And I know it's still early, but I think, I'm in a far greater position right now, a month in, than I was, 3/4 or at the very tail end of my last prep last year, where I was struggling quite a bit. And I would say, if I had to put a percentage on it, I probably was, as far as being like flat, it's like depleted. Of course, you're gonna experience some flatness when you're prepping. You're going to see your physique be flat. It's kind of necessary at times to lose body fat, but chronically flat is not something that we want to basically we don't want to be in that position all the time where we're chronically just flat all the time. And that's when I look back in hindsight, that's basically where I was at with that last prep. And that's why I basically took a bigger refeed last weekend. On Sunday, I took in 500 carbs, versus the 400 that I was scheduled. And it's just because I was looking, a little bit on the flatter side last week. Hunger levels were a lot higher last week's, and I could tell that, I was a little bit on the more of the depleted side. So I fueled up, and basically, I did, my body weight stayed at about 180 for about 3 days. But I stayed true to my process. I didn't get ahead of myself or lower any food or anything like that. And eventually that scale kind of came down, and, basically, I hit new low, Friday, yesterday. So this week so far, I've seen 3 good weigh-ins, but, I'm not looking overly flat. So I'm in a very, very good position. I think I have a great balance right now of, my low macro days are low enough to create that deficit to tap into some fat loss. My refeeds are, big enough. And if they're not, then I just auto-regulate just a little bit upwards to ensure I don't, stay chronically flat and have my energy levels just stay like crap all the time, or my training sucks or anything like that. So I have a good balance of macros. I have a good balance of cardio, running 4 days a week right now for about 30 minutes this week. So it wasn't overkill. And the training, I have a good balance of volume, good balance of intensity, and a good balance of just my recovery. So right now, I couldn't be more pleased with what I'm seeing and how I'm feeling, and I'm pretty excited about it. And I think basically, as far as my mindset, and I think often, like, mindset doesn't get talked about enough, or there's not enough emphasis on it, especially when we're going through a contest prep. I think the number one killer of preps, I should say, yeah, the number one killer outside of, let's say, just terrible protocols would be the way you handle stress. And for me, that's pretty important, because, I think, when the stress levels are super low and you're super poised, and there's not much going on, like, you're not letting your mind get the best of you, you're just in a good place, you're even keeled and you're poised, the body tends to progress better. And whenever stress levels just get really amplified, the body's just kind of, it's a little bit more resistant. So last prep, that's, I think, I had that, that slogan, GSD, get shit done. I think, just that kind of mindset I had last year. I mean, it's a good mindset to have. You do need to have that to get shit done at times, where you have to kind of push yourself. But I think that just put too much pressure on me. Whereas this prep, my slogan's more like poise, be poised. And so that just means, on a daily basis, I try not to get ahead of myself. And I'm going to throw up kind of what my daily prep reminders are. And this is keeping me poised. It's keeping my head on straight. And I think this has really been crucial for me in this first month so far. And I think it'll be crucial, moving forward. And, not only, am I seeing good results physically, I think a lot of the physical that I'm seeing is because of the mindset that I'm taking. So I'm going to kind of run through these for you guys. So these are my personal daily prep reminders. Maybe a good idea for you guys to maybe, you could steal some of mine, but also add your own that you feel like maybe will help you with your prep on a daily basis. Or even if you're off season, or if you're just trying to put muscle on, or you're in a cut or something, whatever. It doesn't have to be prep. Just what your daily reminders are that'll tune you in and keep your stress levels down. So without further ado, here are mine. So basically, First one is, don't be a dick to those you love. So basically, hug and kiss my wife and kids daily. So that's something that I do make a point to do in the morning. This morning my son got up and he's like, "Hi, Dad." He wanted to, grab the remote and turn the cartoons on. I'm like, "Hey, you didn't give Dad a hug. Come give me a hug." So that's important to me. That basically sets the tone, with your family. It shows that, I'm putting my family and my wife, first. So it's very important that I do that. Another thing is basically I'm trying to set a good example for those who are watching, my prep, because I am putting myself out there. I want to make sure that I'm setting a good example. I think, if I do that, because a lot of times I think, people learn by watching. I know my kids and my family are watching me almost every second, so I want to make sure that, I'm not doing anything that's going to be a bad example, obviously. So I think it's important that I do that. And then also, I just kind of remind myself that the show, it's not more important than, those I love, or my overall health. Like last year at the tail end of my prep, I kind of knew that I was physically and mentally getting burned out. I had a month left in order to kind of lose 5 pounds to make it to a show. And I just knew that if I was to push my body and my mind for another month and trying to lose 5 pounds, it probably wouldn't have gone over well. And I think it would have, just made my overall health not as good as it could be. I also think it would have probably affected my family. So I just decided, you know what, time to shut it down. So at any point of this prep where I feel like, my health or my family's kind of like, there's risk there, I'll shut it down. But again, with everything going the way it's going, I'm balancing everything out really well. So everything's going good. The next one would be just to focus on me and not others. I think a lot of times it's easy to look over our shoulder, look on social media, and see so and so how shredded they are, or see so and so of how huge they are, how strong they are, and that, I mean, yeah, we can look at others for inspiration, but I think there needs to be good perspective when you do that. I think if you don't have a good perspective on that and you put too much stock into that, you could just make yourself feel not as good, or just your confidence level goes down. So to me, I just try to ensure that I'm focusing on me, and I can only control what I'm doing. I can't control what maybe competitors are doing. I can't control what judges are doing or whatever. So I try to make sure that all focus is on myself when I'm prepping. Another one is basically just win the day. When you get up, okay, what do I need to do today to make myself better for tomorrow? And that's simply, it's just, hit your protocols, do your protocols, execute precisely, hit your macros, do your training, get your cardio in. And when it does come time to pose, practice your posing. Those 4 things, basically, if you do that day in, day out, you execute to the best of your ability and you're consistent, that's how you get in contest conditions. So I know I don't need to basically look at tomorrow. I need to stay within the day. And that's what I've been trying to do, is just basically stay within the day and win the day. And I try to enjoy the day. I don't stress tomorrow. I'm like, okay, let's just have fun today. If I do that, then process is going to be a lot more enjoyable. And I always try to keep myself reminded that, judges aren't going to define my success. That was something in 2014. I really took that to heart when I went into the Pro International. I'm like, I'm going to go in there. I don't care if I get first place, last place. Doesn't matter. It's just a panel of judges. It's just 7, 8, 9 opinions. I know if I get to that stage in my best ever shape, then I know I'm successful, because that's all I can control. And if I get a first, get a last, whatever, that's basically that's just external. That's just external. That has nothing to do with how I'm feeling internally. Like internally, that's what that matters to me. And at the end of the day, I want to know that I put my best effort and I put my best physique up there. And again, a placing is really not going to truly define that success. Um, and then again, as far as the show itself, basically that's your platform to celebrate the journey, and that's how I kind of look at shows now. All this hard work that I'm doing, so far this month of work that I've put in, I want to celebrate that, and as the months add on, I want to make sure that the full body of work, I'm celebrating it. So all that hard work, all that time, I look at it for me personally, like not just this prep. Like by the time I get on stage, it's gonna be what, 6 months later or something like that. So you're talking 6 months of work. But in my case, I've been training for 32 years. So that physique I put on stage in June, that's gonna be 32 and a half years of work. And for me not to enjoy that show, to put so much pressure on myself to win maybe, or to put just again give too much power to the judges to define my success. Hell no. 32 and a half years, yeah, I'm going to get on a stage. That's my time to shine. I'm going to just smile and enjoy the day. I'm going to enjoy everything that goes on backstage. I'm going to enjoy the people that I meet, the people that I probably already know that will be there. I'm going to enjoy that. I'm just going to enjoy every second of it, because you train so hard just for one day. It's really kind of it's doing a disservice to yourself if you're just putting so much pressure on yourself, for the wrong reasons. And then lastly, Ryan Dorr says, basically don't train like a dingus. Stay composed. Have poise, have patience, and if you're patient, you're going to probably yield more sustained progress than being over eager, or insecure. And that kind of goes back to what I mentioned earlier about the dieting process. Those who are really trying to lose a lot of weight quickly, sure, you might see progress because the scale goes down, but you're basically not yielding really good quality progress, and the end product really takes a hit. And when we talk about training, if you're over eager in the weight room, and if you're not staying composed, you're at more risk for injury. So yeah, maybe if you get after it real hard, you might see the lifts go up. Maybe in a month or two, you see your lifts really skyrocket, or you're really making great progress. But if your foot is on the gas pedal a little too much or a little too hard, and if you break that motor, then yeah, there goes your sustained progress. So that's what I'm talking about. The reason I've made it 32 years now is basically because of my composure and patience in the weight room. So anyways, basically really long-winded, and there's a few of you that said, hey, we don't mind the long vlogs. And again, when you're trying to get a full week's worth of information out, it's going to take me a little time. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this one and you got something out of it. And for those who think that balance is like a fairy tale in bodybuilding, I challenge those to kind of reconsider that, rethink it, because right now I would say that I'm doing a pretty damn good job of balancing everything out and still finding ways to progress. So other than that, hope you guys have a great week. Talk to you guys next Saturday.